Next, stomach bacteria kills thousands a year, and now doctors are saying the death toll is rising.
The CDC is reporting the bacteria can be caught in hospitals and medical offices, and your medicine can be a huge contributor to becoming infected. ABC 7's Natalie Granda joins us in the studio with more. Natalie?
Lisa, Larry, the bacteria is called Clostridium difficile, and while it's not so easy to say, it's actually pretty easy to catch. Doctors say while the bacteria is present in the body, it can sometimes be found at your doctor's or dentist's office, and your medicine can contribute to becoming infected with a deadly disease.
Dentists and doctors prescribe antibiotics every day to treat diseases. But what if those antibiotics can cause a whole new problem?
Clostridium difficile is an infection in the gastrointestinal tract, generally the colon, that overgrows when patients are exposed to antibiotics. It produces a toxin that destroys the wall of the colon, and it kills a lot of people every year.
According to the CDC, the bacteria kills about 14,000 people a year, and local doctors say those numbers are rising.
If you take antibiotics and you take them for long term and too much, you're likely to have a diarrhea, a persistent diarrhea that comes back and hard to get rid of. And after 3 or 4 infections with Clostridium difficile, it has a high mortality rate. It's very common. It's very common, even in our community.
Dr. Thomas Hale says this bacteria lives inside everyone, but some form of the bacteria could be caught where you wouldn't expect.
There are certain strains that we know are highly resistant, and those may be more prevalent in hospitals or maybe more prevalent in certain dental practices.
These are dental infections, these blisters.
And for those infections, Dr. Shane Moore needs to prescribe some medicine, but he makes sure that it's just enough to do the job.
We're pretty cautious with when we prescribe antibiotics. We don't engage in over-prescribing of antibiotics to anyone who has a toothache.
Dr. Hale says they are working on an antibiotic to tackle C. diff and says so far the testing has been effective.
Right at the phase now where we know it works, we just need to determine how it works best in humans.
Hale says they also need to test the antibiotic on people and find funding for the research.
Now, Dr. Hale says the chances are higher the longer you take an antibiotic and its potency, and says to avoid taking antibiotics unless they are absolutely necessary. From the Kennedy Broadcast Center, Natalie Granda, ABC 7 News.
Natalie, thank you. Still to come.